Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am very excited for today's video. We're going to be continuing on in my ranking my entire makeup collection series, and this week we are ranking my powder collection. I do have 11 powders to rank for you. I do actually have 12 powders in my collection, but I haven't used my little sample of my Bare Minerals Bare to Go enough to feel like I could fairly rank that powder. So I have 11 powders that I'll be ranking for you guys today. Stay tuned if you're interested. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like project painting content or just chit-chatting about makeup, I'd love if you'd consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's jump into the video. All right, you guys, I feel like powder is like one of the more like boring parts of my makeup collection, at least to me personally. It just like powder is what it is. I don't get super excited to try new powders, but I wanted to not skip a category. Would love to know what your favorite powders are in the comments down below. I will say I do really love like my top two I'm like in love with. I also kind of miss my Kosas Cloud Set powder. I finished that powder last year. I would love to finish some of these powders before repurchasing that powder, and I do think I might finish a decent amount of powders this year. You'll see as we go along, but let's get into the ranking. Coming in dead last is the newest powder to my collection. This is the NARS Translucent Crystal Light Reflecting Setting Powder. Let me just start by saying I was really nervous to purchase this powder because when I was reading the reviews online, people were saying that there was a lot of like glitter, or like it was just like too shimmery, too sparkly, whatever. I don't get that with this, but I also like rubbing my finger across, I feel like I don't get anything. Like I don't really feel like powder picks up, even though like it does. It's a very, I don't even know how to describe the texture of this powder. It's very, very firmly pressed. I don't mind it underneath the eyes, but I don't feel like it does a really great job of like locking my concealer in. And I've used it some as like an all over, like similar to like how I use my Hourglass powder. I've used it all over my face as like a finishing powder, and I haven't come to love it that way either. If you guys have this powder, would love to know how you use it. I do not think it is enough to like set my foundation. I don't know. So far not impressed with this. Perhaps I need to like throw it into like a project pan, so I'm using it like every single day, but I haven't been excited to reach for this. So that one's coming in at number 11. Coming in at number 10, I feel like this is going to be a very popular opinion because I feel like there is like a die-hard fan club out there for the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. But I will also preface this by saying, I should have said in the beginning, I do have dry, like normal to dry skin, very dry in the winter time, and I prefer a pressed powder to a loose powder. The e.l.f. Halo Glow, I don't know. I just feel like it looks heavy underneath my eyes. I just don't love the like texture of the powder. I don't know what it is about this. The way that I've been using this, because this is currently going in my Shop My Stash rotation, is to like clean up my bronzer, which it's fine that way, but this is nothing special in my opinion. It is relatively less expensive than many other powders on the market because it is e.l.f. and it is drugstore, but I wouldn't repurchase. Coming in at number 10, I've actually gone through a full one of these in the past, and then I got sent another one in BoxyCharm. It's the Too Faced Born This Way Ethereal Setting Powder. And I will say I used to like a more full coverage look, and when I was going for more full coverage, I was reaching for this a lot. It is a really nice loose powder in that I feel like it's not totally matte. It does kind of have this like ethereal skin-like glow. It's just heavier than I am preferring these days. And again, I just like, all my loose powders you'll see are being ranked towards the bottom because I just am not reaching for a loose powder these days. I used to love loose powder and not use pressed powder, and I have just totally flipped in the last like 2 to 3 years. So I don't think this is a bad powder. It's just I barely reach for it, so I couldn't rank it higher than, I think we're at number 9. Coming at number 8, I have, this is actually not the Laura Mercier powder. This is my RCMA powder put into my Laura Mercier powder container. I do like the RCMA powder. I have gone through a lot of it, but I still haven't finished up. Like I just had one of those, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like almost like the glitter. Like you guys know what craft glitter is held in? That is what the RCMA powder is held in. I don't know who thought of that packaging and thought it was a good idea. But anyway, this is a very, very thin, not heavy loose powder. It is really nice. I think I've just had this for so long and used it for so many years that I've kind of like gotten bored or like burnt out from this. That's why it's ranking a little bit lower. There's only one other loose powder that's ranking higher than this. And in terms of like bang for your buck, I definitely do recommend that if you're looking for a good loose powder. I don't know if I would repurchase it again because honestly, you guys, I truly feel like my collection would likely be okay with no loose powders. And if I did want a loose powder, I feel like honestly, truly, the reason I use a loose powder is just to like clean up my, like that's really all I'm currently using a loose bronzer or loose powder for. I would likely just keep the e.l.f. one at a very less, like very low cost because I don't care to use it all over my face. So even though this ranks higher, it's harder to get my hands on because I have to order it off of like Beautylish where I can pick e.l.f. up in the store. I think I'd be okay if I didn't I have plenty of loose powder to get me through many more years. So I won't even need to be thinking through things like that. But my highest ranked loose powder and coming in at number 7 is this one from Nabla. It is the baking and setting powder. And I will say, you guys, I've only used this all over my face one time. It was fine, but I do like this underneath the eyes. Like if I really want to set and lock in my concealer, I will use this underneath my eyes, and I do really like it for that reason. I don't feel like it makes my under eyes look like they're like droopy and saggy. I do really feel like it locks my concealer into place and stays all day. I have really enjoyed this loose powder. Again, loose powder, I don't feel like I need it in my life. Coming in at number 6, we have my lowest ranked pressed powder, and I really like this powder, you guys. But so this is the number 7 Lift Illuminate Triple Action. As you can see, I have a large pan in mine. A part of this could just be because I'm getting a little bit bored and a little bit burnt out from this powder. This powder is very, very similar to the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush powder, which I've gone through 2 of the Charlotte Tilbury powders in the past. Love that powder, but it's just so expensive. Like you can just, although I do think the Charlotte Tilbury one is just like a little bit more lightweight, just like a little bit more lightweight. I like this powder quite a bit. There's just other pressed powders that I prefer. I don't think I'll repurchase this just because I prefer a different drugstore pressed powder, which we'll get into, but that is a really good option. It's a good one. I'm just getting a little bit burnt out by it. This next powder, coming in at number 5, me and this powder have gone through quite the journey. I feel like I either am like in love with this powder or not loving the powder at all. And I'm currently in an era where I'm loving this powder, and it is the Hourglass Luminous Light powder. I have a huge pan on this, but this has been in my collection for so many years, and I've been trying to pan / like complete this powder for at least 2 years at this point in time. This is just a step that I either am doing all the time or I'm not doing at all. And lately I have just felt like my skin looks really dry, and I've been loving a glowier and glowier complexion. So this has been perfect for me. I used to say I would never purchase this powder again, but like if I can't get this NARS powder to work like this, maybe one day I'll purchase. I just want like illuminating finishing powder. If you guys have any recommendations other than Hourglass, do let me know. But I have really loved this. On days that I'm just looking exceptionally dry, I will just dust this all over my face. On days that I feel like my blush is a little bit too pigmented and just isn't blending into everything quite like I like it, I will just pop this over my cheeks, and I've really been enjoying this one, you guys. So this would be my number 5. Coming in at number 4, I have this one from Flower Beauty. This is the Light Illusion Pressed Powder. This is another powder that has been compared to the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush powder many times. This one I think is even lighter than the number 7. So if you're trying to decide between these 2 drugstore powders, I personally prefer the Flower Beauty one. Very buttery soft, very smooth on the skin, doesn't feel like you're wearing powder, doesn't totally take away from like the life of your face. Like, isn't this just totally matte drying powder? It's just really beautiful. I really do enjoy this one. I just haven't been focusing as much on this one because I've been trying to finish this one off, but I'm excited to return to this powder because I really do like that one. Coming in at number 3, I have this powder foundation from Fenty Beauty. It is the Pro Filter Soft Matte Powder Foundation. I don't ever use this on its own as like strictly a powder foundation, but I do use this on days like specifically in the summer, if I'm gonna be outside, but I want like a full face of makeup and I want my makeup to last, like maybe like an outdoor concert, I will set my face with this just because I feel like it doesn't necessarily blur my skin because it's already blurred from the liquid foundation I have on, but it helps to just lock everything in place and really offer me like just a flawless complexion. It is, for a powder foundation, I think it's very lightweight. It's a very thin, very buttery, soft, smooth texture, and I really do enjoy this one from Fenty. It's just not something that I reach for very frequently because it's essentially like, the way that I use this is like putting foundation on foundation, so I just don't always need that much. But the times that I do use this product, I really love it. I should try using it as a powder foundation, but I'm just terrified to just do a powder foundation with like, I don't know if I've ever done like just a powder foundation. I should try that and get back to you guys on how that goes. Coming in at number 2, I freaking love this powder. My first powder like this cracked and broke, and I went out and repurchased this because I just had to have this in my collection. This is the CoverGirl Clean Fresh powder foundation. I have mine in the shade Fair. So if you are looking for still a healthy glow to your skin, but you want a powder that's gonna lock in your face, this is my recommendation, and it's drugstore. I think you can get this for under $12. It still allows your skin to have a healthy glow while still being like a powder that's gonna lock everything in. I absolutely love this powder so much. It is such a good one at the drugstore. This has been like a top powder in my collection for a few years now, and one that I continue to return to because it's just so good. And then my current number 1 is the Dior Powder No Powder. This is going in my, not whole collection, my Rolling Project 10 pan. And I really do feel like I should log on to the Dior website and purchase a couple of these. I know Samantha March loves this powder, and she says it goes in and out of stock on the Dior website because there's like rumors that they are reformulating. And I truly do love this so much. I think I like this one just a hair more than the Kosas powder. I don't know what it is about this powder, like what magic is in this powder, but it truly does just give you the most airbrushed finish to the skin. Like, I could not love the way that my foundation is laying, and then I'll go over with this powder and like suddenly I love the way that my skin looks again. There's something special about this powder. I have learned that I really do love a baked setting powder because both this and the Kosas powder are both baked powders. And I don't know, there's something about a baked powder that I think just really gives you a flawless complexion and is lightweight enough that it still sets my makeup in but isn't like too drying for my dry skin, if that makes any sense. This is a really, really thin powder. I will say top layer, I did have a lot of issues with hard pan, but once I got through the top layer, I haven't had any issues with hard pan. Love this powder so freaking much. It's such a good one and definitely the number 1 powder in my collection currently. But after that, that is going to wrap it up for this ranking video. A shorter one definitely, but that is how I would rank all of my powders from least favorite to favorite. Would love to know if you agree, disagree with any of my selections. What are your favorite powders? What is the worst powder you've tried? Let a girl know in the comments below. Other than that, thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting my channel as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.